You know what happens, guys, in life? Sometimes we struggle. Sometimes we get things wrong, but there's always a second chance, and we've been given a second chance by ESPN. They've got a second chance tournament bracket. Guys, the bracket that I filled out, I need Purdue to win the national title really bad if I want to finish well. Right now, I'm in the 19th percentile. It's not looking good. But this second chance Sweet 16 picks, let's do it right now. Create a new bracket. There we go. We got it. So this is my official second chance bracket. You guys can see when it zooms in. This thing is so slow. We've got, I thought they would have shown the entire bracket, but it looks like it's just the Sweet 16. So overall, we're going to start with the West region. This is the region I got mostly right. The only thing I didn't have right was Arkansas. I had them losing in round one, so it's going to be Gonzaga versus Arkansas. Gonzaga struggling a little bit this tournament, really struggling with free throws. Arkansas, not that impressive in both of their wins, although we got to give them credit. Vermont was an underseeded team. They were better than their 13 seed, and Arkansas was able to win that game, but I am going to go Gonzaga here. Chet Holmgren, Drew Timian, they get the job done. They get the win here. I believe they're around 8.5-point favorites. ESPN BPI has them at about 78% chance to win, I want to say, maybe 80. So I have them defeating Arkansas, and then they will take on the winner of Texas Tech and Duke. Texas Tech getting a close win yesterday against Texas. Wait, did they face Texas? Did Texas Tech face Texas? I'm not exactly sure. They're taking on Duke. Duke beat Michigan State. So Texas Tech, we know they're going to have to deal with the whistle. I'm sure the NCAA seeing the prospect of having Coach K make the Final Four or even the national title in his last year, that's an amazing thought. So, Duke is going to get a favorable whistle here. They've earned it. Coach K has earned it in his last year, but I still think Texas Tech is the better team. They've got more experience. They'll be able to overcome that. I saw they were around 1.5-point favorites over the number 2 seed. They get the win there, and that sets up an elite. That sets up. I can't even talk. That sets up an Elite Eight matchup, Gonzaga and Texas Tech. In the East, we've got North Carolina and UCLA. Probably the best upset I predicted in my original bracket. I did have North Carolina beating Baylor, and that happened. Crazy game. North Carolina was up by like 25. It ended up going to overtime. They ended up winning. I have North Carolina continuing their hot streak, winning this game over UCLA. UCLA in the first round, struggling a little bit with Akron. They get the win in round 2. I see them losing in the Sweet 16 to a very hot North Carolina team. That's an 8 seed that makes the Elite Eight. And then we've got Purdue taking on St. Peter's. I love when a team like St. Peter's makes the Sweet 16. It's so cool to see their logo in the Sweet 16. Purdue is a 12.5-point favorite. Imagine telling Purdue fans before the season started, all you have to do to make the Elite Eight is beat St. Peter's. Your Sweet 16 game is St. Peter's. That's why I wanted Delaware to beat Villanova so Ohio State could face Delaware in the second round. But it didn't happen. Obviously, Villanova beat Delaware, and then they beat Ohio State. So, but Purdue, St. Peter's. Purdue is my national championship pick. I got to pick them. I'm going Purdue. They've got such a great offense. Did Purdue face Texas? I think Purdue faced Texas, right? I believe that's what happened. Yeah, so that was a close game against Texas. They got the win. Their first round matchup against the Ivy League champion Yale. Yale wasn't even the best team in the Ivy League, guys, if you didn't pay attention. Princeton was. They just got upset, so Yale made it, and Purdue just annihilated them. But this is, it's an easy matchup. You'll take it if you're Purdue. You're facing St. Peter's. Really fun to see a team like St. Peter's, but I have Purdue winning the national title, so I'm very happy that Purdue is facing St. Peter's. And then if they face North Carolina, it's wide open. It's a wide open spot to the Final Four for them. Looking at the Sweet 16 in the South region, we've got Arizona and Houston. The metrics loved Houston. It's paid off. They're in the Sweet 16. They beat Illinois. They won pretty handily. They were in control of that whole game. Ended up winning by 15 points, and I do have them beating Arizona. Arizona got a scare last night against a number 9 seed, TCU. I've never been a believer in Arizona. I've got Houston and their metrics. They're second overall in T rank. They're fourth overall in Ken Palm. I've got Houston making it to the Elite Eight. And then we've got Michigan and Villanova. And unfortunately, Ohio State lost to Villanova yesterday. I don't think we've made the Sweet 16 in about a decade at this point. It's real bad. It's real bad with the Ohio State basketball program. I don't know what to say. I was so excited because, we could have beaten Michigan. Oh, the other thing I wanted to talk about, the Michigan-Tennessee game. Dude, if you're a Tennessee fan, I would be fuming. There's 2 games this tournament where I would be fuming. I had Iowa going to the Final Four. They lost in round 1. Why did they lose? I hadn't watched any of the Iowa-Richmond game, and I saw at half Iowa was down by 1 point. I was like, you're joking. I thought Richmond was a joke of a 12 seed. I thought Richmond should have been a 13 or a 14 seed. Iowa was completely underseeded, and I checked the 3-point shooting. Iowa in the first half of that game against Richmond 1 for 13, and I'm like, oh no. It's the one way you can lose to Richmond if you're Iowa is if you just can't hit a 3, and they just couldn't hit a freaking 3 at 3, and the same thing happened with Tennessee against Michigan. If you're a Tennessee fan and you're asking, how did we lose to Michigan? 2 for 18 from 3. That's the that's the thing with March Madness. It's one and done. If Michigan faced Tennessee in a 10-game series or 10 times, I think Tennessee would win 8 times out of 10. I really do. But it's just that one game you go to, why did you lose? You went 2 of 18 from 3. That's why you lost. That is why. It was a close game throughout the entire game. Tennessee was actually winning it with 5 minutes left. But it's oh my goodness. And then now we've got Michigan and Villanova, and I am going to go Michigan. I'm not really buying Villanova. They controlled their game against Ohio State, but Ohio State did come back. They cut it to 2. Villanova, Connor Gillespie, good player, but this Michigan team is loaded with talent. They've got, I think, 3 of the most talented players in this game. Caleb Houston, Hunter Dickinson. Yeah, I've got Michigan making it to the Elite 8, and I think Michigan's big-time strategy, if I was a Michigan fan, say you're losing at halftime, just have Juwan Howard knock out Jay Wright. Just have him punch him in the... Just let Juwan Howard punch Jay Wright in the face. He'll get knocked out at halftime. If you're losing, he won't be able to call plays in the second half. That would be my strategy. I'm just kidding. What a real Michigan man. Yeah, maybe we should retire the phrase Michigan man if you're going to allow your head coach to punch another coach and then continue coaching that same season. Maybe we should retire that phrase. I don't know. Next, we've got Kansas and Providence. And you know what? If I'm Kansas, I'm very happy about this. Providence, I'm still saying they're a fraud. I know they won their 2 games. Great, they made it to the Sweet 16. Let's be honest, folks. It's not going to happen for them. This team can't keep doing this. I understand people say all they do is win. Come on, folks. They're winning by 1 point, and then they make the tournament. They seemed like the team. It's interesting. Everyone was picking against Providence as a 4 seed. Providence as a 4 seed was literally 2.5-point favorites over South Dakota State. It's almost like it's too good to be true. And next year when we're filling out our brackets and everyone's picking against a 4 seed or a 5 seed, literally everyone was picking against Providence. It's almost like you want to pick Providence to win, because it's too obvious of an upset. So Providence, good for them. They end up making the Sweet 16, but I do have Kansas defeating them. And then kind of an interesting matchup here in the Midwest, Iowa State and Miami, and I love Miami to win this game. I think Miami's around 1.5-point favorites. They don't turn the ball over. They've got a way better offense than Iowa State. I think Iowa State's going to definitely struggle to score. Iowa State did beat Wisconsin, but the final score of that game was 54-49. It's the same thing with Iowa State. They just struggled to score, and Miami riding the momentum. They will make the Elite 8, and what an absolute, historic time that would be for the Miami Hurricanes basketball program. You love seeing stuff like that happen, a team like that make the Elite 8. So the Elite 8 games, we've got Gonzaga taking on Texas Tech, and I think Texas Tech advances to the Final Four here. They beat Gonzaga. Again, just something seems off with Gonzaga this year. They're not making their free throws. The Memphis game was close throughout. They ended up pulling away. They were actually losing to Memphis. The first round game against Georgia State was close in the middle of the second half. They did end up just rolling them late in the second half. I think Gonzaga scored 60 second half points against Georgia State, but just something feels off with Georgia State, so I am going to go with Texas Tech there, and I will have them face Purdue. Purdue will defeat North Carolina. North Carolina is out in the Elite Eight, and that would set the Final Four matchup between 2 3 seeds. 3 seeds are great in this. They're so strong in this particular March Madness season. It will be Texas Tech taking on Purdue. Winner goes to the national championship. Then we have Houston and Michigan, and I am going to go with Houston to win that game. They will be going back to the Final Four for the second straight year. They'll defeat Michigan, although honestly, really, I could see Michigan very easily winning that game. I'm not going to lie. It'll be a good game. It'll be a good game. And then we have Kansas taking on Miami. And in this one, I am going to go, honestly, I was going to pick Miami, but I'm going with Kansas. I'm going realistic. I'm going to go with Kansas. They finally make it back to the Final Four, and that sets up the Final Four teams: Texas Tech, Purdue, Houston, and Kansas. And I am going to go Purdue to defeat Texas Tech. I just think they have too much offensive firepower. That's why I picked them in my original bracket to win the national title. And then I am going to have Kansas making it back to the national championship. They will defeat Houston. That sets up a Purdue-Kansas matchup in the national title. And I am going to go Purdue by a final score. We're going to go 81-75 if we can find it. I can't even freaking see my keyboard. So not 754. Good Lord. 81-75. Those are my final picks. It's been such an unbelievable March Madness. It's so good to have it back to where we've got all these different locations, you know, the Thursday, Friday games with all the games happening throughout the days. It's so fun. And a lot of these teams, it's so sweet to see the Sweet 16. Unfortunately, you know, with Ohio State, it's sad at this point. I mean, it's been a decade since we made the Sweet 16. It's not looking good. And if we lose Branham, I mean, hopefully Branham doesn't leave. He really shouldn't be a one and done. He has massive turnover problems. I'm hoping he comes back, but we're going to lose E.J. Liddell, unfortunately, to the draft. So we'll have to see. I don't even know if Ohio State will make the tournament next year, but this is my pick. I am going Purdue over Kansas in the national title. This is the second chance Sweet 16. Hopefully it turns out a little bit better for me. And I think the best game of the Sweet 16 matchups, just looking at this, possibly this North Carolina UCLA game. I think it's going to be very close, very good game, very high-scoring game. If you're looking for one game to watch in particular, that's going to be the best one. The worst one, probably Purdue and St. Peter's, but it's always fun to see a team like St. Peter's in the Sweet 16. We saw Oral Roberts last year, but guys, I'm not going to drag this video on any longer. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.